Shabbat Shalom. Good morning, everyone. Page 189 in the Siddur. Page 47 for our travelers. Great are your works, Adonai. Very profound your designs. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. So glad that you are joining us this morning here at Temple Israel. We know that you are home safe and joining us from afar, so we welcome you virtually. So feel free, if you are on Facebook or on YouTube, to wish everyone a Shabbat Shalom, to remind each other that we are not alone, that we are here together. Just a quick rabbi's note. I'm certain that many of you, if not all of you, saw the president's press conference yesterday in regards to wanting houses of worship to open up immediately and all that stuff. Well, I think we'll just decide when we're ready to open up our synagogues and churches when we think it's safe, if that's okay, considering that's our decision. So no worries. We're going to keep on keeping virtual for the time being, making sure that everyone is safe. So just wanted to add that in case people were worried. So no, we're not opening anytime soon. So let's come together in prayer this morning. We turn to page 190 in our Mishkan Tefillah, page 48. For travelers, for those of us who choose to wear talit, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehitatef b'tzitzit. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to wrap ourselves in the fringes. Amen. Let us give thanks to God for the inner workings of our body, our health, with the words of Asher Yatzar, page 194 or page 54 for travelers. And we move right to Elohai Neshama, thanking God for the soul inside us, which is pure. So we thank God for our healthy bodies and our healthy souls together. We start on page 194 or 54. The second line there, Asher Yatzar et Adam. Praise to you, Adonai, sovereign of the universe, who heals all flesh, working wonders. Asher Yatzar et Adam be'chokmah, u'baravu mekavim, taludim. Let's do that again. Baruch atah Adonai rofeko basar wafni la'asot. Baruch atah Adonai asher biyado nefesh kol chai v'ruach kol basar ish. Let us turn to page 204 and 64 for the travelers as we will engage in the study of Torah this morning. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to engage with the words of Torah. On page 205, page 65 for the travelers. From the cowardice that shrinks from new truth, from the laziness that is content with half-truths, from the arrogance that thinks it knows all truth. O God of truth, deliver us. Blessed is Adonai, teacher of Torah to your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai hamlamed Torah le'amo Yisrael. One of my favorite readings these days. We turn to page 206 or 66 for the travelers, and we are reminded that in Judaism, we act righteously for its own reward. They are the fruits of this world. Being able to honor our parents, being able to engage in deeds of compassion, to study, to welcome guests, to visit the sick, to accompany the dead for burial. These are the things which our liturgy calls are limitless. And we also understand that wherever we go next, wherever that may be, these are the things, the deeds that carry with us and transition with us because they come into our character. And so whatever awaits us in the next world, what we do in this world echoes because it shapes who we are. On page 206 or 66 for the travelers, we sing these words of Elu Devarim, She'ein Lahem Shiur. These are the things that are limitless. Those last lines, Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam, but the study of Torah encompasses them all. In a previous Sidor, I think it was Gates of Blue, it said the words, it encompasses all because it leads to them all, which I like a lot. If we study Torah, it teaches us how to be moral and righteous people, so it should lead us to good deeds. So studying Torah leads you to those things. So that's one of the reasons why we study, because it creates rules and ideas for us to be better people, ethical people. Let's move on to our Pizukei de Zimra and join together on page 214 or 74 for the travelers as we sing together the words of Psalm 92. Mizmor shir leyom haShabbat tov lechodot l'Adonai uzamer l'shimcha elyon. It is good to praise Adonai, to sing hymns to your name, O Most High. We're reminded by these psalms that there is joy in praising God, joy in singing these acts of liturgy. It's good for us to do so. It's good for us to come together on these mornings or Friday nights, depending, to come together and join together in worship. There are many benefits to it. So we remind ourselves from the psalmist of Psalm 92, page 214 or 74 for the travelers. if you ever read the words of that psalm, some beautiful imagery in Psalm 92. The righteous bloom like a date palm, they thrive like the cedar in Lebanon. Really, really beautiful poetry. So when you have a moment, take a listen. Let's move to another psalm in our Pizukei de Zimra, Psalm 150, and that can be found on page 218 or 78 for the travelers. And we are reminded of all the ways that in history we Jews have been able to praise God, all the ways in music that we do so, and we continue to do so with our music today. So all these lists of instruments and things like that reminds us that we continue on that tradition, that we continue to praise God through the use of music. Page 218 or 78. Heard there was a secret chord David played and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, and the major lift, the baffled king composing. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, el bicocho, hallelujah, kirahuso, hallelujah, 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 kurota, hallelujah, rukano, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Take a shofar, hallelujah, never make it wrong, hallelujah, 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 to my heart, hallelujah, meaning of God, hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. We end Pizukei de Zimra, and we come to page 226 or 86 for the travelers. The words of Baruch Hu. We transition to a new section of our service. Those last few psalms as Pizukei de Zimra were meant to build us up a little bit and get into the zone, and now we move into the different rubric, which is the Shema and its blessings. So this is where we have to check in with ourselves to make sure that we are present and there, ready for us to pray together. So page 226 or 86 for the travelers, the words of Baruch Hu. Praise Adonai, our praises. Praise Adonai, our praises. Praise Adonai, our praises. Now and forever. Now that we are ready to pray, we move to page 229 or 89 for the travelers. In the beginning, even then, a new light was sown for the righteous, a promise that your light would become the catalyst first for order and then for hope. Author of language and light, help us to use words as you have, to cast light into dark waters and draw out justice and truth. Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer HaOrot. Page 230 or 90 for the travelers. How deeply you have loved us, Adonai our God, gracing us with surpassing compassion. On account of our forebears whose trust led you to teach them the laws of life, be gracious to us, teaching us well. O merciful one, have mercy on us by making us able to understand and discern, to heed, learn, and teach, and lovingly to observe, perform, and fulfill all that is in your Torah. Baruch atah Adonai habocher be'amo Yisrael b'yahava. As we come to page 232 or page 92 for our travelers, we are reminded that we come together, even virtually, to say these words of Shema. And that as you say them in your homes, you are still declaring to the world that you are a Jew, and that you know these words and believe these words. So whether we are here in the sanctuary or at home, these words carry the same meaning. We say them together as one community. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed. We continue on page 234, page 94 for the travelers. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאורות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, amen. We turn to a song of joy, Shirat Hayam, Song of the Sea, page 240, or page 100 for our travelers. These are the words that the Israelites sang as they exited slavery and went on into freedom, and we hope that one day we will sing these words again as we enter freedom from COVID-19. Sur Yisrael, Kuma be'ezrat Yisrael, Ufdehenu mecha Yehuda v'Yisrael, Ko aleinu Adonai Tzevaot Shemo, Kedosh Yisrael, Baruch atah Adonai, Ka'al Yisrael. Join us on page 242, or page 102 for the travelers, as we enter the heart of our service, praying together these words of tefillah. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei HaKol, V'zocher Hasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'mevii Gula lifnei bneihem, Leman Shemo b'Yahava. Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Bezrat Sarah. We are on page 246 or 106 for the travelers. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol Atarav Lechoshia Morid Hatal, Mechalkel Chaim B'Chesed, Mechayei HaKol B'Rachamim Rabim. Somech noflim v'rofeh cholim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato, lishenei afar, michamocha bal gevurot, umidom elach, melech memit umekayeh, umatmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman natal achayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai mechayei ha'kol. We jump to page 248 and to 110 for those in the travelers. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ, כבודו. אדיר אדירנו אדוני אדוננו מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו ומלכנו, הוא מושיענו וכו ישמיענו, ורחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. We turn now to page 258. Or page 126 for our travelers, as we ask God to sim shalom, to place peace upon us, tova u'bracha chen v'chesed v'rachamim, goodness and blessing, grace, kindness, and mercy, not just to us, but to the entire world. We say this prayer knowing how much peace is needed in this world this morning. Page 258 or 126. Sim shalom, tova u'bracha. Sim shalom, tova u'bracha. Shalom, tova u'bracha. Sim shalom, tova u'bracha. Ken v'chesed v'rachamim. Ken v'chesed v'rachamim. Rachamim sim shalom. Tova u'bracha. Sim shalom, tova u'bracha. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Nefasim shalom. Tova u'bracha. Sim shalom, tova u'bracha. This time we invite you to take a few moments of private prayer, reflection, or meditation. Take a few moments to yourself. Take a few moments to give those individual prayers, now that we have given the communal ones. And take a few moments to find inner peace in reflection or meditation. And we'll meet back on page 260 or page 128 for the travelers. Shalom Roma. Say Shalom Aleichem. Eyal Kol Yisrael. Say Shalom Roma. Say Shalom Aleichem. Eyal Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleichem, Yaakov 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 Yisrael. Friends, let us come together in joy for the study of Torah. It is always sad that I cannot be with you as we do so. But I know that you are with me, and that as we read Torah and discuss it this morning, that you are with me virtually. This morning we begin the book of Numbers, Bamidbar, and it's a long portion. It stretches 4 chapters, and it begins our official book about Bamidbar in the wilderness, which is what it means, Bamidbar, in the wilderness. We've been in the wilderness, of course, since Shemot, since Exodus, but this is really, if you have studied with me, you'll see we call it a sort of a place where people deposited all these stories, these great, amazing stories of all the things that occurred to us in the wilderness. So it's a fascinating book. I look forward to being on that journey with you this year. This morning, I'm going to read Numbers 3:5 through 13. Baruch hu et Adonai hamborach, Baruch Adonai barak le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. Amen. Vayedaber Adonai el Moshe lemor, הקרב את מטה לוי, ועמדת אותו לפני אהרון הכהן, ושרתו אותו, ושמרו את משמרתו, ואת משמרת כל העדה, לפני אוהל מועד, לעבוד את עבודת המשכן, ושמרו את כל כלי אוהל מועד, ואת משמרת בני ישראל לעבוד את עבודת המשכן. ונתת את הלוויים לאהרון ובניו, נתונים המלו מאת בני ישראל. ואת אהרון ואת בניו תפקוד, ושמרו את כהונתה, והזר הקרב יומת. וידבר אדוני אל משה לאמור, ואני הנה לקחתי את הלוויים מתוך בני ישראל, תחת כל בכור פטר רחם מבני ישראל, ויקחו לי הלוויים, כי לי כל בכור ביום הכהן כל בכור בארץ מצרים. הקדישתי לי כל בכור בישראל, מעדת עד בהמה, לי יהיו אני אדוני. Adonai spoke to Moses, saying, advance the tribe of Levi and place them in attendance upon Aaron, the priest, to serve him. They shall perform duties for him and for the whole community before the tent of meeting, doing the work of the tabernacle. They shall take charge of all the furnishings of the tent of meeting, a duty on behalf of the Israelites, doing the work of the tabernacle. You shall assign the Levites to Aaron and his sons. They are formally assigned to him from among the Israelites. You shall make Aaron and his sons responsible for observing their priestly duties. Any outsider who encroaches shall be put to death. Adonai spoke to Moses, saying, I hereby take the Levites from among the Israelites in place of all the firstborn, the first issue of the womb among the Israelites. The Levites shall be mine, for every firstborn is mine. At the time that I smote every firstborn in the land of Egypt, I consecrated every firstborn in Israel, man and beast, to myself to be mine, Adonai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natah b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. While we are here studying Torah, we feel close to God, and it's at this point during our service that we think of those who are in need of our healing. Those who certainly are in need of physical healing, those who are suffering from COVID-19, or those who know people who are suffering from COVID-19, those who are suffering from other ailments due to COVID-19, such as mental anguish or emotional strain, spiritual confusion or challenges, all the things that come with the stay-at-home orders and all the things that have now changed our lives, all of that can have an effect on us. So we give prayer to those as well, not just to those physical ailments, but being aware of our emotional and mental state as well. Here at Temple Israel, we give special thought to Jason Beckner, Chuck Bogard, Eileen Goss, Harry Herschel, Harriet Morrison, Sandy Perlman, and Sharon Tallis. To that, we ask you to name any others of those you are thinking of who are in need of healing. Any kind of healing, like we spoke about. If you know that there are some who are having real trouble these days with stay-at-home or quarantine, dealing with childcare or work or those sort of things, mention them as well. And those, of course, who are suffering from physical ailments, with all of this on top, right? With those who are in the hospital or suffering from other things and we can't go and see them, we can't visit them in the hospital, all of those things we have to be aware of. So please feel free to type in, if you like, a name of someone you are thinking of during this time so that we can add them to our prayers and make sure that we extend that out, not just in the Temple Israel community, but to your individual communities as well. Mishaberach avotenu v'imotenu, Avraham, Yitzhak, v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah, v'yivarech et hacholim. HaKodesh Baruch Hu Yimale Rakamim Aleichem L'chalimam U'rabatam V'chazikam V'yishlach Lachem Merera U'for Shlema Mina Shamayim Ufut HaNefesh Ufut HaGuf HaShtab V'garav Izman Kariv V'nomar Amen. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill, all those who you have named as well. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit. And to that, friends, we say, Amen. Well, our Haftarah this morning comes from Hosea, chapter 2, verses 1 through 22. The connection between Bamidbar and the Haftarah is that the weekly Sidra tells of Israel's numbers in the wilderness. The first few chapters of Bamidbar counts the numbers of people in the tribes. And the Haftarah begins with the promise that the people of Israel will be like the sands of the sea, not to be measured or counted. For those who want to know a little bit more, Hosea lived in the 8th century BCE and was a younger contemporary of Amos. He resided and preached in the northern kingdom of Israel, whose religious practice had become an abhorrence to God. Baal worship was common, and the God of the covenant was increasingly forgotten. We read today chapter 2, verses 1 through 22 of Hosea. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar b'nim tovim v'ratza v'divreihem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai abocher b'torah uv'Moshe avdo uv'Yisrael amo b'nbiei ha'emet v'tzedek. Hosea 2:1. The number of the people of Israel shall be like that of the sands of the sea, which cannot be measured or counted. And instead of being told, you are not my people, they shall be called the children of the living God. The people of Judah and the people of Israel shall assemble together and appoint one head over them. And they shall rise from the ground, for marvelous shall be the day of Jezreel. O call your brothers my people and your sisters lovingly accepted. Rebuke your mother, rebuke her, for she is not my wife, and I am not her husband. Let her be put away, her harlotry from her face and her adultery from between her breasts. Else I will strip her naked and leave her as the day she was born. And I will make her like a wilderness, render her like desert land, and let her die of thirst. I will also disown her children, for they are now a harlot's brood, and that their mother has played the harlot. She that conceived them has acted shamelessly, because she thought, I will go after my lovers who supply my bread and my water, my wool and my linen, my oil and my drink. Assuredly, I will hedge up her roads with thorns and raise walls against her, and she shall not find her paths. Pursue her lovers as she will, she shall not overtake them, and seek them as she may, she shall never find them. And she shall say, I will go and return to my first husband, and then I fared better than now. And she did not consider this, that was I who bestowed on her the new grain and the wine and oil, I who lavished silver on her and gold, which they used for Baal. Assuredly, I will take back my new grain in its time, and my new wine in its season, and I will snatch away my wool and my linen that served to cover her nakedness. Now I will uncover her shame in the very sight of her lovers, and none shall save her from me, and I will end her rejoicing. Her festivals, new moons, and Sabbaths, all her festive seasons, I will lay waste her vines and her fig trees, which she thinks are a fee she received from her lovers. I will turn them into brushwood, and beasts of the field shall devour them. Thus I will punish her for the days of Baalim, on which she brought them offerings. When decked with earrings and jewels, she would go after her lovers, forgetting me, declares Adonai. Assuredly, I will speak coaxingly to her and lead her through the wilderness, and speak to her tenderly, and I will give her vineyards from there in the valley of Achor and the plowland of hope, and she shall respond as the days of her youth, that she came up from the land of Israel. And in that day you will call me she, for no more will you call me Baali, for I will remove the names of Baalim from her mouth, and they shall never more be mentioned by name. In that day I will make a covenant for them with the beasts of the field and the birds of the air and the creeping things on the ground. I will also banish bow, sword, and war from the land. Thus I will let them lie down in safety. And I will espouse you forever. I will espouse you with righteousness and justice, and with goodness and mercy, and will espouse you to faithfulness. Then you shall be devoted to Adonai. Just a few notes so that you know what's going on here. Hosea certainly does not mince words. There is a running metaphor throughout the prophets of a husband and wife relationship between Israel and God. And when Israel goes to worship other gods, such as Baal, it's like adultery. So there's a very sort of marital, sexual imagery, that sort of stuff. And that's what Hosea is pointing to. Another thing that he's pointing to here is that Hosea is saying that all the gifts and things that happened in nature that the Israelites thought were from Baal, turns out they are originally from God. They just didn't know that. So again, it's very strong in terms of monotheism, that you were worshiping this false God. You thought they were giving these gifts. It was me all along. So really interesting Haftarah this week. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tzur kol ha'olamim tzaddik b'chol hadorot ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer v'yoseh ha'medaber u'mkayim shekol devarav emet v'tzedek al ha'torah v'al ha'avodah v'al ha'anbi'im v'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu likdusha v'limnucha lechavod u'tifaret al ha'kol Adonai Eloheinu אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך, יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. Well, Shabbat Shalom, friends. It's nice to see you. So lately, there's been a great deal of discussion, certainly in the rabbinical circles, on how to deal with the upcoming High Holy Days during the COVID-19 pandemic. As you can imagine, we rabbis are torn as to what to do, whether to go virtual or not, and when to start making those decisions. During one fruitful conversation on the matter, a rabbinical colleague of mine said something that I haven't been able to shake since. He said, when we decide these guidelines and regulations, we will most likely see a struggle from inside our membership. And he defined that struggle as the tension between the American values of individualism and liberty and the Jewish values of communal responsibility. I've sat for what seems like hours contemplating this and trying to figure out how I never saw this most obvious tension before. This issue is uniquely American in nature. As Andrea Campbell, a professor of political science at MIT, says, it's always been the orientation of America on balance compared to other countries to put a priority on individual freedom and liberty. While this can have certain benefits to society, we are now unfortunately seeing the negative consequences of such self-focus in the form of those who refuse to wear protective masks, those who violate stay-at-home orders, or even those refusing to listen to scientists and experts and deciding to make up their own minds about COVID-19 and its dangers. This it's about me attitude shares little in common with traditional Jewish ethics and values, which cherish above all communal responsibility. We're told in Deuteronomy 16:20 not to pursue individual liberty, but justice. Justice. Judaism knows nothing of charity, the idea of the individual to give from your heart, but rather we know the concept of tzedakah, which obligates each citizen to create and maintain a just and equal society. We are commanded over and over again in our Torah not to love ourselves, but to love our neighbor as ourselves. We see these messages over and over again in the teachings of our sages. Pirkei Avot tells us, do not separate yourself from the community, which means we cannot value our individualism over the values of the community. More clearly, the Talmud, Shavuot 39a, tells us all Jews are responsible for one another. And then there's this midrash. And listen to this story that comes from Midrash. With justice, a king sustains the earth, but a fraudulent person destroys it. That comes from Proverbs 29. What does this verse mean, the rabbis ask? With the justice that the king does, he sustains the earth, but the fraudulent person destroys it. If one makes oneself like truma, the portion of produce that is set aside as an offering, set aside in the corner of the house, and says, why should I trouble myself with the community? What's in it for me to take part in their disputes? Why should I listen to their voices? I'm fine without this. The Midrash says, this person destroys the world. And this is the meaning of that fraudulent person who destroys the world from Proverbs 29. What could be more different from the American ideal of individualism and self-focus? Whether it be the commandments to leave the corners of our field, to never neglect the orphan or the widows, the ideals of Judaism teach us again and again to focus our attention on the group, on the kahal, the Kehillah Kadoshah, the nation of Israel. So herein lies the tension we are seeing when discussing how to move forward with our synagogues, with our worship, our learning, our acts of social justice in the wake of the dangerous pandemic that has killed hundreds of thousands. We're now seeing the problematic aftershocks of a nation built on the concept of individual freedoms, trying to merge with a 5,000-year-old collective Jewish memory of valuing life and health of a community above all. It's why so many rabbinical associations and governing bodies have had to create so many statements emphasizing to follow the word of experts in medicine and science and continue to practice social distancing, stay-at-home orders, and wearing masks despite what the governing officials say. True, we Jews have always been grateful to the autonomy given to American citizens to build their own destiny. But just as Reformed Jews recoil at the anti-vax movement, those who refuse to engage in conversation about gun control, we recoil at those yelling about constitutional freedom to live and most likely die at their choosing. We do so because we still hear the words of our Talmud from Bava Kama 46a, which teaches us, from Rav Nathan says, from where is it derived that one should not breed a vicious dog in the house or keep an impaired ladder in his house? From the text, Deuteronomy 24:8, you shall not bring blood upon your house. In other words, friends, individual freedoms, whether to own a vicious dog, an unsecured gun, to refuse to vaccinate or wear a protective mask, cease when those freedoms will inflict direct, preventable harm on another. Among those protesting regulations to safeguard us all, we have seen too many signs that read, my freedom doesn't end where your fear begins. No, it doesn't. But in Judaism, your freedom does end when danger to me begins. And that, dear friends, is the balance We must find between American values and Jewish values. We do and should enjoy and celebrate the individual freedoms we have in this country and have enjoyed for centuries. And while other Americans may believe that those freedoms go unrestricted, even when they endanger their neighbors, we as Jews cannot afford to know that kind of apathy towards our fellow. On the contrary, we know that if there is a risk that we will endanger or possibly cause the death of another, we cannot go forward. As Pirkei Avot tells us again, for if one destroys one soul, it is as if he destroys an entire world. Or as our Midrash earlier told us, one who says, why should I trouble myself with the community, is one who destroys an entire world. And in Judaism, nothing is worth the risk of destroying an entire world. As we begin the book of Bamidbar, we find ourselves in the wilderness. Today we wander through the wilderness of COVID-19. But like our ancestors in the Midbar, we wander together. And we do so, as we do so, I would urge us all to give thought to the wellness and health of the entire Jewish people, not just our individual needs. Shabbat Shalom, friends. As we come to the concluding aspects of our service, we turn to page 586 or page 215 for the words of Aleinu. Let us now praise the sovereign of the universe and proclaim the greatness of the Creator who spread out the heavens and established the earth, whose glory is revealed in the heavens above and whose greatness is manifest throughout the world. You are our God, there is none else. Therefore we bow in awe and thanksgiving before the one who is sovereign over all, the Holy and Blessed One. V'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim Lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Page 591 or 216. Thus it has been said, Adonai will be sovereign over all the earth. On that day, Adonai will be one, and God's name will be one. V'ne'emon v'chaya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yihyeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. A moment here. At the end of each one of our services, take a moment to think about those we have lost along the way, those who have died in recent days or years past at this season. We, of course, give thought to the 100,000 Americans who have died already from COVID-19, those health professionals who have died trying to defend us, and all those who have died from complications, and all the reasons that are caused by this pandemic. We also give thought to those who are murdered because of racism, like Ahmaud Arbery, and those who die because of all the failures of systems in our country. Here at Temple Israel, we observe Shloshim for Paul Bangura, and we observe Shiva for Debbie Walensky, who we did a funeral for just a couple days ago. And we also give thought to those who yahrzeit whose perpetual memorial comes at this time. Joseph Bachman, Samuel S. Perlman, Virginia Tilden, Leo Bobrecker, Norbert Porile, Gail Silverberg, Miriam Goodman, and Jane Thomas. To those names, we add any others of those you are thinking of, those who have died in recent days or in years past this season. Please feel free to say a name aloud, write it down so that we can mourn with you. It's difficult during these times of virtual services for us not to be with you in person. And the Kaddish is meant to be said with a minyan so that you are surrounded by love and comfort. And it's very hard for us and emotional for us to not be able to be there for those who are in mourning during this time. But please know that we are with you and that our thoughts go to you if you are grieving. And that even though we can't be there in person, we are here. Temple Israel is here. So we thank you for giving those names to us and allowing yourself to be vulnerable to share those things with us so that we can honor their memory. We, of course, give thought to those who have no one to say Kaddish for them, the 6 million who died in the Shoah and those who died defending this country and the state of Israel. Page 598 in our Siddur, or page 221 for our travelers. We join together in the words of the Mourner's Kaddish and honor all the memories today. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach yiroteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chaychon uv'yomechon, uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei d'kudashah brichu, Eila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran b'yalma v'imru amin. Yehei shalom rabba min shamaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who brings peace to the high places bring peace over us and over all of humanity, as we say together. Amen. May their memories be for a blessing. Friends, before I send you out into the world on this beautiful Shabbat, a few announcements for you. We will continue our live stream services next Friday, the 28th at 7:30 p.m., so please join us here. We continue to have our office closed. So if you do need to come by, please call ahead and let us know. And if you are coming by, please wear a mask or gloves. We're trying to keep our office a place of safety and health. So thank you so much. Kim does have some in-person office hours, 1 to 3 on Wednesdays and Fridays. So please feel to call or email if you need something in person. But please be safe and allow us to be safe. Our Temple Israel office will be closed May 25th in observance of Memorial Day. To those who have followed along with Mishkan Tefillah for Travelers, thank you so much for being able to do that. If you still haven't gotten your copy, we have plenty to give. So please feel free to come by, as we said, to be safe to do so and get your copy of Mishkan Tefillah for Travelers that you can borrow. So on Monday, Memorial Day, this is important. At our cemetery, Monday at 9:30, we received a confirmation that this year's Memorial Day ceremony by the American Legion, unfortunately, has been canceled. But despite the fact that the American Legion will not be there, we will still have a ceremony. If anyone wants to come to the ceremony, Jan Kortner will have the gate to the cemetery open from 9 to 11. After that, it'll be closed, but people can certainly open the gate and drive through. We'll start around 9:30 or so. The event will be on Monday, May 25th, so get there at 9:15 or so. Taps will be sounded and some prayers said, certainly to observe those who have fallen in the line of duty. So despite the fact that it was not safe for the American Legion to be there, we will be there as we are there every year. So when you are there, please be safe, observe CDC guidelines, keep social distancing, wear a mask. We don't want these important moments to be moments where we can inadvertently lead to infection. So please be safe when you come, and I'll see you there on Monday morning. We hope that we will see you all Thursday night, May 28th at 7 p.m. for our Shavuot study session. It will be Erev Shavuot, and we will be continuing the tradition of study to honor the giving of the Torah. And hopefully in your Thursday reminders, you read about not just my session, which will be the study of the book of Jonah in the belly of the fish, but all the things that are happening from 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. Thanks to the small congregation, Leil Shavuot. Each Zoom session, not just mine, but all of them require a password. This is to hopefully push away Zoom bombers and things like that. So please contact me or Kim and ask for the password if you'd like to join. You can also register for all the classes, including mine, through the Leil Tikkun Shavuot, which was sent out to you in Thursday reminders. So please contact for any questions, but we will see you on Thursday, May 28th at 7 p.m. Very excited to study with all of you once again. This summer, finally, this summer, you're going to have some wonderful classes that you can take, starting with Judaism 101, which I will teach, a crash course in the basics of Judaism. We're leaning now towards Saturdays at around noon, and we'll probably start in June. We strongly encourage those who are pursuing conversion to take this course to help build up your knowledge before you dip in the mikveh. And of course, we welcome non-Jewish partners of our members. And of course, we might get some guests as well. There's lots of people who are interested in studying Judaism 101. This will be a Zoom study session instead of live streams. So we will interact with one another, and all the materials we'll be able to share screen and that sort of stuff. So we will be able to do that. Our friend Karen will be continuing Hebrew 102, an introduction to prayer, starting on June 15th, 2020 at 1 p.m. So please contact Karen if you're interested by June 1st so you can get your materials ordered. So there's lots of wonderful things that you can study this summer, and we're thinking of doing some other things as well. But for now, please keep in mind, keep your brain going, keep scholarship going, keep learning. We want you to join us. So Judaism 101 and Hebrew 102 are starting this summer. Friends, with that, we hope that you have a Shabbat Shalom, a Shabbat of peace. Enjoy the weather, enjoy your family, go outside and be safe, get a little fresh air, and make sure that you maintain your health above all. Pikuach nefesh, friends, Shabbat Shalom.